Hello and welcome to Tales Over Tales podcast. I'm Allysha.
I'm Abigail.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so listeners and whoever is watching, as you can see, we do not have Jordan with us. She is out. She's in New Jersey and she is currently on a new endeavor with work. So, in place of her for the next couple of episodes, we have Emily here.
Hi,
And
everyone.
so Emily, she has an Instagram, Books and Bottles. So why don't you give us a little bit about you and your Instagram?
Sure. And thanks, Allie, Abigail, and Jordan, all three of you guys for
Yeah.
having me on the show. I run an Instagram, a bookstagram, if you will, called Books and Bottles. And I started the account actually back in 2020. It was my COVID kind of outside of work right time. Everyone was baking sourdough bread or getting back into the gym, and I decided to start Books and Bottles, where I would post books that I had read, my review, my thoughts on the book, and then suggest a wine pairing to go with the story. Whether it was something about the wine that connected with the character, something that was mentioned in the book, the label matched what the story was trying to portray. And I honestly started it as just in my own digital reading journal, if you will, with Instagram as the platform. And I did it for a bit in 2020 and had a few followers that joined, and it was kind of fun. And then life got busy and I put it aside and said, I don't really have time for this at the moment. And then earlier this year, I started getting back into reading a lot more and decided to pick it up again. And I have been so shocked and excited by just the way it's I say exploded a bit, and really being able to connect with other readers has been the best part. I think for those listening or watching right on YouTube, that's where I connected with Jordan, was through Instagram, and we were swapping our favorite books and book recommendations and suggestions, and we decided to do a buddy read of the Knock 'em Out series, and it's just kind of snowballed. But I'm thrilled to be here. I'll have to say, this is one of my favorite parts about Bookstagram, Instagram, Books and Bottles. It's just making friends that we all love to read. It's almost like one giant virtual book club, and that's the best part.
No, I absolutely love that. And tying into, with the podcast today, was something that you and Jordan had did together, was reading this Knock 'em Out series, which I'm very excited for us to cover, because I know, like, going into this, and I know that you had already read it, I was like, oh, this is very spicy. And and I am not one to, like, gravitate towards those. Like, those are kind of like not something like that's not my favorite. But when Jordan had brought up the series and then bringing you in, I was like, oh yeah, we totally got to do it. So we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you filling in. In the meantime, we definitely do appreciate it.
They're big shoes to fill. So
Yeah.
Jordan's got her plate full, and shout out to Jordan for really
Yeah.
setting all of this up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely agree. So like we had mentioned, we are covering Things We Never Got Over, by Lucy Score. And so before we, kind of get more into like the book, and of course this episode is spoiler central, so anything and everything that you want to talk about, we're going to be talking about everything in this. Let's go over just some highs and lows, though, of how this has been, this last month for you. So Emily, why don't you go first? Do you have any highs and lows to share with us?
Gosh, sure. Of the last month, I would say one of the highs for me was the 4th of July. We did a barbecue with neighbors and friends kind of in our neighborhood. But the big high was, so my son will be 2 in September. And so we actually got to do sparklers with him for the first time on the 4th of July. And I know everyone loves fireworks and like the big show, but there's just something about your first sparkler on the 4th of July that was a big high for me.
Oh, that's so
Yeah, and I
cute.
think low. Nobody likes talking about the lows. Um, Low would be that it's been a bit busier at work for me, and so that just means earlier mornings, later nights. Not everyone's favorite to have to do that, but
Yeah.
it's gotta get done.
Yep, I agree.
True.
Yeah. What about you, Abby? How are you doing?
God, I'm trying to think. Highs and lows for the last month. I feel like it's always hard for me to answer this question because my life is very boring. I don't really do much, but I guess like highs is I would say last night was family barbecue. We live in a small town that's like actually like a small Catholic town, like that's where my family, well, a majority of my family lives. And every year there's like two celebrations for like two patron saints. And so the first one is in July and the other one is in August. So the first one was last night. And so it was just nice to just get to hang out with family and come together and just get to relax and see, family members I haven't seen in a while. So that was very nice. So I would say that was the high from the month. And yeah, even though things are boring, like I want to say like things are consistent. Like I started a new job at the beginning of the year and it's still good and I still like it. So far I'm not saying like I want to run. So I would say that that's a high. Let's see, lows. Um, I think lows would be, I can't really think of like a low, but I would say that my mom recently had surgery, so she's still healing from that. And so every time I go visit her, I always feel like sad, because like she's like really like a type of person that likes to get up and go. And so just like seeing her like kind of like bored or a little bit miserable in one spot, I would get sad like seeing that. So I went to go visit her on Friday. And so we managed to like get her into the car and I just like drove around a little bit, just so she can get outside and get some fresh air. So kind of turned into a high, but it's always hard watching a parent go through something. But yeah, so that's for me.
No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear about your mom. I hope everything's okay though, and sending all of her healing prayers her way.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, what
Yeah.
about you, Ellie? How's the most for you?
Oh gosh. Okay, let's see. I feel like I've been on a really good high this month. I started a new job at the beginning of this month. So that has been going really well. Actually, no, this week is actually going to be my last week of training before we get started the following week. So I'm a little nervous. I'm a little anxious. But it's still really exciting. So that's been going on. Oh my goodness, like what else has been really good? Just like like you guys with Fourth of July and like the holidays and everything. Those are of course always so fun. And yeah, so those have been kind of like my highs. I would say like to be funny kind of lows. My son starts school tomorrow. He is now in the 5th grade, which is so crazy to me. Like, I can't believe I have a 5th grader, and then next year he's already going to be in junior high, and I'm just overcome with so much emotion because he's just getting so much bigger. And we're planning him kind of a small birthday party because I'm taking him to go see Imagine Dragons for his birthday. So that will kind of be a fun little thing. And then in December, my daughter will turn 2. So that's also like, just kids are getting older and it's crazy to see them grow. And I was just looking at some pictures of them from being so little, and it's just crazy how all of that is been playing out. So
Goes so fast.
it does. It
Mm.
really does. I'm just like, where has time? And my son is so tall now too. He's only 10 and he's like up to here with me already. So that growth spurt is gonna look crazy over the next few years. So
Ah,
oh
well,
my goodness.
you're the hot mama for the 5th graders. So
Thank you.
Own it.
I I appreciate that. Oh my goodness. All right.
Mhm.
Well, let's go ahead and navigate here. Let's share what we are all drinking. I know that we had decided that since this book is a little spicy, we would all kind of gravitate towards some kind of spicy drink. For me personally, I'm drinking from the brand On the Rocks. It's this jalapeno, like pineapple margarita. It is spicy. It is very strong. And I feel like after just having this one glass, I might be buzzed by the end of this episode. So I'm just, I apologize for any potential slurring towards the end. I'm just giving you guys a warning right now.
We forgive you in advance.
Oh, well, thank you. What about you guys? Did you guys kind of get like something similar with yours?
So I did margarita, and I just put jalapeno. I had jalapenos soaking in it before, and so
Ooh.
that's what makes it spicy. But I took them out because they were like a nice snack after a while. Like
I love it. I love
jalapenos.
it.
So that is my spicy drink for
That is
today.
awesome.
I also jumped on the spicy drink bandwagon. So I did a different take though. So I did a spicy margarita using Terramana tequila. It's one of my favorites. Highly recommend for those listening.
Ooh.
And then I did your traditional margarita, but I added a splash of ginger beer because it has that little spice kind of note to it to match the spiciness of the
Mm,
book.
nice. I love that.
I will say, I'll add too, because I know we're all doing spicy margaritas, right, for
Mhm.
today's recording. But for those listeners that might prefer like a wine, just because I am books and bottles here, right? A
Yes.
wine pairing. When Jordan and I were going through and selecting a bottle for this, we really narrowed in on 1,000 Stories Cabernet, so a red wine for those listeners. And we'll get into more of this, but it's a red that's been finished in bourbon barrels. So it matches really well with, and we'll get into like
Ooh.
Knox and his love of whiskey and bourbon, grumpy whiskey loving character we'll talk about, right?
Yes.
And matches well, then Naomi, who's our, lead in the story,
Mhm.
more of her kind of sunshine, even keeled character. So I'll
Yeah.
also throw that out as an option for those listeners.
No, I love that. I love that you mentioned that because that was something I wanted to bring up too. Like I thought I saw that you had paired a wine with that. So I'm glad you brought that up. So thank you for for doing that.
Sounds like a really good wine. I might just get it just
I
because.
know. Seriously, I know.
And cheers,
Yeah.
ladies.
Yes. No, cheers. Absolutely.
Mhm.
I'm excited. All right. So, let's go ahead and share just our like initial thoughts on the book, what you would rate it, spicy peppers, all that good stuff. So, Abby, you want to kick us off on what you thought of the book?
Sure. I enjoyed the book. Like you, Allie, I am not much of a spicy book reader. And so going into it, like at first, I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, oh, okay, it's gotta be one of like, grumpy man, delicate but I love the story. I love the characters. I'll get into that deeper as time goes on. But yeah, I thought it was a real page turner, to be honest. And I just love the pace of the story. And I just thought the characters were very well written and developed. So those are my initial thoughts. Like I enjoyed it. And so I'm happy that I gave this series a chance. And I'm looking forward to I'm gonna get to at the end, but I'm looking forward to reading the other two books too.
I love it. So, out of a like a 5-star rating, what would you give it?
Out of a 5-star rating, I would say I would give it a 4 out of 5. Because I liked it. Well, not 4.5 out of 5. Um, like I said, all the reasons that I named before. And then if I was to rate it with some peppers, like out of 4 peppers, like I said, I don't read this often, so I'm giving it 4 out of 4 peppers because I'm like, oh wow.
I
So those are
love
my
that.
thoughts.
I love that. No, that is so honest. And yeah, no,
Mhm.
I definitely agree with you. I'm not one to pick up any spicy books Really, it's not just something that I like, it's in my calling. Not that I wouldn't read them. I'm just a really big fantasy book lover. I love fantasy. Fourth Wing, Iron Flame. I'm going through the Throne of Glass series right
Yes.
now. Yes, give me all of that, please. And like, I know that those books have like some spice to it, but if it was something where you see like a half naked man on the cover, you're kind of like, I know where that's going to lead. So I don't tend to pick those up. But going into this, I was very like open-minded. And I know from what you guys have said that it's definitely gets spicier as like time goes on. So it's just one of those things where I'm like, okay, I loved this book. It was very much like the sunshine, and then with the grumpy, I love that it's very like a Hallmark type of deal. And yeah, the spice was like just right for me. And yeah, I mean, we'll get more into like the whole Naomi Tina thing. Oh my gosh, it made me so angry just reading that, and Knox and his obnoxiousness. But no, so I would say for me, I gave this book a 5 star. Like, I enjoyed it very much. And as far as like peppers go, I give it a 3. Like, it might not be that crazy, and I know it's only about to get worse. But I would say out of all of that, definitely give that 3 peppers for sure.
Nice. I think I'd agree with what you guys have said on this one. I really enjoyed the story. I don't know if I'm going to use the term refreshing might be the right term. And I only use that because when I started Things We Never Got Over, I was coming out, off of reading all of ACOTAR, Fourth Wing, Iron Flame. Like, I did a huge romantasy series of books and Sarah J. Maas and all of that, which is very much a different genre. So to jump into, and this was my first Lucy Score book. So to jump into Things We Never Got Over was just a different vibe. So I say a bit refreshing, just to have, that comparison, or that this next book. I think I like the grumpy sunshine with Knox and Naomi was great throughout the story. I liked the small town romance kind of feel of it too, that the setup was. I agree, Allie, with your comments on Hallmark movie-esque. Not only in like the characters, but the plot development, some of the interactions. It just was a feel-good book. So overall, I gave it 4 stars, 4 out of 5. And the only reason that I knocked down 1 star is because there were a few moments that were just a little too Hallmark-esque for me, that just were almost like too perfect, right? The 2 that I, kind of call out, and we could probably get into more of this after the summary, but like when all of Knox's female employees at the bar are on their same cycle and they call it Shark Week, and he like avoids the bar. That was just a little too cliched for me. It was funny. I laughed. I enjoyed reading those scenes for sure, but it just sort of was a little over the top for me. I think the other one that stood out as just a little too perfect was when it was revealed that Knox is a lottery winner. And so he's like set for life. So all of a sudden, all of Naomi's, like, she doesn't have a job anymore, had to sell her house, like all of her financial troubles were just solved in a span of a couple pages. We're just a little too perfect for me in that story. But overall, 4 out of 5 stars, highly recommend, must read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. We'll definitely get into like this is like a nice little bow to put on this.
Nice of a bow sometimes. But so I liked it. I really did. I think from a spicy pepper rating, I did out of 5 spicy pepper rating, I gave it a 2 out of 5. There's definitely spice. So warning to listeners, right? If you haven't read this book, just know that there is some spicy fun scenes in there. But I think, and I had the benefit, I'll say, of I've read the second and the third book, and I was reading this after reading those 2. It definitely gets spicier. So this one seemed tame after I read the other 2.
Oh, wow.
I know. Yeah. What was it that you labeled the other two? We were talking about it in our group chat, and we were, oh my gosh, you had me dying laughing.
Yeah. I can't remember what the other two, but it was like I said, book 1 was spicy, book 2 was like spicier, but book 3 is picante.
Yeah,
Like,
there it is.
over the top. Yeah.
That is awesome. I love that.
But yeah,
It
so I
was
said 4 stars, 2 spicy peppers.
okay, perfect. I love that. No,
Yeah.
that's good. All right, well, let's go ahead and let's jump into a little bit more about the book. So we'll go ahead and have Abby kick off with the summary of the book.
Okay, here you go. While following the worst day of her life, Naomi Witt believes things cannot get any worse. That is until she shows up in Knockemout, Virginia, following a mysterious call from her identical twin sister, Tina. Tina reaches out to Naomi, sounding distressed and asking for help, and Naomi ends up coming to her aid, like always. Following an all-night drive and her search for coffee, she is welcomed to town with hostility and accusations. But our girl Naomi knows all too well the effect of sharing a face with her no-good, troublemaking, evil twin. After successfully convincing the town folks she is not Tina, she realizes that her dear sister has not only stolen her car and her wallet, but has once again left Naomi to clean up her mess. Suddenly, overnight, her life has changed drastically, from runaway bride to sole guardian of her 11-year-old niece, Waylay, who she didn't even know existed. As she is trying to come to terms with this information, town bad boy Knox Morgan has been by her side. Knox is a man with little patience, a short fuse, and a disdain for drama, which Naomi's life is certainly filled with. The more he tries to pull away, the more he is drawn to Naomi. Something about her makes it difficult for this loner to keep his distance. No matter how hard Naomi tries to avoid Knox, there he is everywhere she turns. And eventually, they both stop trying to stay away. ...
I know, right? I know. And then at that point, I think we all know what ends up happening. So yeah, so we kick off this book here. We started off with Naomi. She comes into town, and I just find it so funny how like right off the bat she's just like, I need a tub of coffee, and I feel like I can relate to that on so many levels. That's me like
100%.
every Monday morning. I'm like, just at that point, just give me an IV
Yeah.
with coffee,
Like
and I think, yeah, exactly. And right off the bat, like she sees like a wanted poster, and they're like, do not serve like this person. And she was like, well, what the heck is going on? So we find out that her twin sister, Tina, had reached out to Naomi and was like, I need help. Can you come? I'm in this city, and I just need help. Can you come over here? So that's where Naomi just pretty much comes to the rescue at that point. And at first, like, even the poor guy at the coffee shop is like, listen, I don't want any trouble whatsoever. So like I'm not about to get like roped up in your stuff here. And then lo and behold, Knox comes barreling in, and he is so mean and just absolutely ruthless. And she was like, I'm not Tina, like I'm the twin sister. And that just started like a whole grumpy rage with him from the very beginning. So, what do you guys think about Knox when we first meet him?
I'll let you go first, Emily.
I think he went in that scene in the coffee shop. For me, it was a funny meet cute, right, in the book, just as a way for like Knox to enter and fight for Naomi to come into town. I did like where not Tina, like capitalized, became her name basically, which was cute. Knox, I thought, was, though, a bit too harsh, overbearing. I mean, he's the grumpy in this Grumpy Sunshine, right? So he was over the top, a little too quick to snap, and it was not my favorite. I'll say that.
Yeah, honestly, I would agree. Like he was very grumpy, and I was like telling my boyfriend, I was like, if I met this man in real life, like I would hate him. Like initially, like I would be so upset and be like, who are you talking to? Like, but like for the sake of the story, I like how, it was him trying to be like protective and like helpful in his own way, but he's just stumbling through that because he's not quite sure how to do those things without being grumpy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, absolutely. No, I definitely agree with you guys. It's yeah, like just right off the bat, and he's just like, get the hell out of this town. We don't want you here. And she's like, listen, buddy, I have nothing to do with whatever my sister did. I'm just here because she said she needed help. Like, you need to calm down. But I think that's one of my favorite things about Naomi is just her attitude from the start. She's just very much like, I had a bad night. I'm just want my coffee and I just want to go find my sister. So you either get out of my way, I'm going to punch myself out of, punch you to get out of my way. And I love that about her so much.
I'm with you, Allie. That scene. Knox was like a nope for me, but I
Mhm.
was like, Naomi, I'm right there with you. Like,
Yeah.
let's go. And
Mhm.
that was good.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Oh goodness. And then
Yeah.
everything that happens after, she
I
finally gets the best cup of coffee she's ever had.
Yeah.
and then it just goes downhill from there. So yeah, so she ends up getting her gorgeous and delicious cup of coffee, which oh my coffee now sounds good. And I wish I would have had that instead of this margarita, but here we are. It's fine. And so she ends up walking out of the coffee shop, and lo and behold, her car is gone. And she's like, how did that get towed so quick? So she's like on a mission to go find where this tow company is. She's in a new town. She doesn't know what direction. And she's also trying to get away from Knox as well, which is kind of funny. And he's like following her and he was like, you gotta go the other way here. So yeah, so all of this like ends up happening and he ends up driving her over to like the hotel she's staying at. Turns out that like her car ended up getting stolen from her evil twin of a sister, Tina, which we will get into because Tina, I had to take various deep breaths throughout this book whenever Tina came into play because she was the most frustrating character and just it just drove me absolutely crazy.
I'm with you, Allie. Maybe there's a small rabbit hole we can dive down with
Yeah.
Tina here because
Right.
she was, for me, it was actually one of the things I didn't enjoy about the book.
Mhm.
She
Yeah.
was super frustrating in every situation that she came up, but she
Mhm.
also felt really one-dimensional to
Yeah.
me. Like there was a lot of great character development, right, with Knox and with Naomi and with some of the other characters that will come up as we, keep talking. But
Mhm.
Tina just had one speed, like one angle, and it was the
Yeah.
bad evil twin
Yeah.
until, and I know it's spoiler coming for those that haven't read it, right? But until she kind of attempts to help Naomi and Muele escape during the mafia like capture
Mhm.
scene, right? That's
Yeah.
like the moment that there's a little bit of good there. But I just have to think that I wish there had been a bit more shown of Tina's arc. Like I know that wasn't the point of the book, but she just
Mhm.
felt a little flat to me. And that was not something, it was super frustrating. And I was like, there's got to be more here than just you're pissing me off. And
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I agree with that. What do you think, Abby?
Yeah, I definitely think Tina, evil twin, like she was just like this looming presence throughout the book. Even
Mhm.
though, like, even when she wasn't there, just
Yeah.
like every time her name got brought up, I was like, oh goodness, what's she do now? Like, what
Mhm.
now, Tina? And so her character, I think I can't even like you're right, Emily. Like, I don't even think that I can like think of like redeeming qualities. Even at that last bit when she was trying to help Waylay and Naomi, I was just like, okay, like you're not gonna all of a sudden turn mama bear after you basically abandoned your child and didn't even think twice about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like 2 thumbs down for Tina.
I know. Yeah. And I agree with what you were saying, Emily. Like, I wish we had a little bit more I mean, I know that wasn't like the whole part of the book with Naomi, just pretty much it was like her story and, and everything else. But yeah, I do agree. I wish we kind of knew a little bit more about Tina. Like, how did Tina get to that point where she's at now? How did she get to the point where she is like wanted in this town? She's an absolute menace. She leaves behind her 11-year-olds to like fend for herself pretty much. We find out that she wasn't even like a really good mom either.
Right.
So I just have so many questions. Like, what was it that started all of this,
100%. And then Abby, to your point, she shows this mama bear like characteristic at the very end.
Yeah.
And when I was reading that scene, I'm like, okay, that didn't just come up out of nowhere. Like that's been there's something else going on. And I just wish that, there was more explored with Tina, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that could have been an interesting angle with the rest of the story.
Yeah, I agree. And like I know we did get a little bit of like from Naomi's perspective, like she was always a trouble child. She was growing up in high school too, like she was always getting into trouble, but it's like okay, but how? Like where did we get to this point of her, having to I'm just like but
no, I'm with you. I would love to see. I know it because I've read the 3 books. Like, it'd be great if there was like book 3.5 or like a novella or something that was Tina's backstory.
Yeah.
That would be really interesting. And like Waylay's dad, who doesn't really come in at all or important to the story, but that's more of a rabbit hole conversation.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
The therapist in me is like, who's the real Tina?
Yeah, there you go. Yes, Abby.
I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, who are you?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. Yeah. So in regards to Waylay, though, Tina's 11-year-old. So once Naomi shows up at the hotel, they see that her door is broken off the hinges. And they walk in, and Waylay is just sitting on the couch watching Twisters like it's just a Tuesday. And they're like, okay, who are you? And they're like, oh, that's Tina's daughter. And Naomi's like, hold on, like I have a niece. Like where's your mom? Do you know where your mom is? And also too, just kind of going off that whole like evil twin thing here, like Tina ransacked her motel trying to find whatever she could, and then also just stole her car on top of that also. And so that just kind of begins this whole journey where Waylay is now left with Naomi. And I just love how it went from I don't know who this little girl is. She is probably just like her mother in every sense because her mom is, a terrible person. But then I just love how throughout the book it ends up into this beautiful relationship between her and Waylay. It's just amazing.
I say one of the things I called out that my favorite part of, frankly, this book and the whole series is anything Waylay. Like anything to do with Waylay. I'm like, yes, this is great. She is such a funny, smart 11-year-old, a dynamic character. I love too, as like Naomi and Knox sort of become a thing, Knox's relationship with Waylay. Like that just, that was a heartwarming moment. And again, not to go into it continues, and it's adorable to see like that, family really come together. It was very cute. Waylay is 10 out of 10. One of my favorite characters in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love her. And I love that she's written as like a typical 11-year-old.
Yeah.
Because like I have a niece who's in middle school, and every time I see her, she humbles me. real quick. Like she's very quick and witty, and
Mhm.
and the whole time I was reading about Waylay, I'm like, yep, yep, that's Mariah. So
I
I
love
love
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like this is definitely kind of that turning point a little bit with Naomi and Knox, because he just goes instantly into like protective mode, and he's like, yeah, you guys aren't staying here, like pack up your stuff, let's go. And she's like, where are we going? And it turns out that his grandmother owns this like really beautiful house, and there's like two little cottages that are attached to it. And Knox is like, you're staying here, like, you don't have a choice in the matter because you're not going back to that motel. And I have to say that the way that they had described like this house and those cottages, I'm like, I want to go. Like, where are you guys at? Because I want to find this, because it sounds so beautiful with the lake, and the
Mhm.
house just sounds absolutely gorgeous. Like, I want to go have a picnic over there. I want to go stay. Like, where are y'all?
Exactly. Gotta find you on Airbnb.
Yeah.
I had the same thought. I was like, this is too cute and too perfect and too
Mhm.
picturesque. And like, we're can we all join?
Yeah.
I do have to say that Knox's grandmother, Eliza J, is one
Yes.
of my favorite book fictional grandmothers, like
Yes.
of all time, easily top 3, I would say.
Yeah.
She's just the best throughout the whole series. And
Mhm.
she too like adopts Waylay, and it's just like this, I don't know, small town, right? But
Yeah.
she's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She was a great character. I mean, when we meet her, she's like a woman broken by her grief. And then having Waylay there and connecting with her, like slowly brings life back into her life, light back into her life. And that was really awesome to see. But yeah, Eliza J is like the coolest grandmother
Yeah.
ever read.
I
So,
know. And I just love the dynamic, like you said, it's like right off the bat. She just brings Waylay, and she's like, okay, you're like my granddaughter now, is pretty much like how she brings her in. And I just love that so much, because like I have the special privilege to see my daughter, and my husband's grandmother. So this is her great grandmother. And she watches our daughter while she is, while we're at work. And I get to see that special relationship with them. And it's so crazy because, like, I never got to meet my great grandmother, and my only living grandparent is unfortunately in hospice, but she's the only grandparent that I've ever really known. So, for the fact that, like, my daughter gets to have that with her great grandmother is so special. And I just love how they bring that kind of like family tie into this book, because it's like she doesn't know who this little girl is, but she's like, she needs someone to love her and like, give me, give me, give me. I just absolutely love that.
100%. And Naomi, for that matter, too. She accepts Naomi like right off the bat. Come join.
Yeah.
Come stay in my property. Like, come stay in my
Mhm.
house.
Yeah.
She's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. And I like too how she was like, don't worry about paying me. Like, if you just fix up this place, then you can stay for free. And like, it's totally fine. I love that. So we are then brought into, the next kind of big hurdle with Naomi is, well, I don't have money because her sister stole most of the cash she had. And of course, like, she stole her purse. So like her credit cards and everything else are completely frozen. So she's like, if I'm going to be a guardian, then I need to work. And guess who's the big problem solver for that? Good old Knox.
Shocking.
Shocking, I know. And it
Well,
just seemed like whatever problem she had, like, Knox was just there to fix it. Yeah.
all the time, all the time. Well, actually, the manager of one of Knox's property went up to her, and Knox was not happy that she was there, like for the longest time. He was like, "No, you're
Mhm.
fine. or you
Yeah.
better quit. Make one mistake and you're done. Like
Yeah.
pretty much.
I know, because he was just still so much on like that high horse of like, I don't like you, even though he doesn't know who she is, just for the fact that she was related to Tina. And he just had this headcanon where, like, if you're related to her, then you're just as rotten as she is. So I automatically don't like you. So I just thought that was pretty funny how she was like, well, like, I have to work. So, give me some time and I'll show you what I can do, and you won't have a choice but to keep me on. And that was just super funny.
I'm with you. I think that was one of the things that kind of bugged me after a while through the book, was what I called Knox's like continuous emotional feet dragging through this whole story, right? Not that Naomi like fell head over heels quickly, right? But just there was a lot of emotional turmoil with Knox that was up, like, I don't want to say good, but like appropriate up front. And then it just felt like continuous like turmoil.
Yeah.
And Abby, you're gonna laugh. I almost want to be like, "Have you seen a therapist, dude? Like, we need to get out of this world. Like, what are we doing with this? We can't just keep like dragging our feet. We need to like fish or cut bait, And I think that was, huh?
I said they all need therapy.
They all need therapy. I'm sure they all do.
Facts.
But
no, really.
It was one of those that it was after a while. I was like, all right, Knox, you need to get the show on the road.
Yeah. No, seriously. But like in this whole Naomi trying to figure out her situation, Knox being Mr. Grumpy Man, and all of his issues that he has, we are also introduced to another character. We have Nash, Mr. Police Officer. So so what do you guys think about him and his character throughout the book, and how he just kind of played a pretty big part in this also?
Love him. I do like Nash. I think that he's an interesting character because he is so opposite of his older brother, Knox. And he, just kind of decided like to be a police officer and to clean up the town. So he's definitely like kind of like fits into this role, like good brother, Mr. like, kind of like have it all together, building this career for himself. And I like how charming he is. He's very, like, that's another way he's really opposite of his brother, is that he is gentler. And so instead of forcing Naomi to like do things, he like talks to her like she's a person. And so I really enjoyed that part of him. I also enjoyed that, like, even though he's the nicer younger brother, he'll still beat his brother's butt if he has to. Like, them fighting is always, and throwing punches. I was like, oh gosh, Nash, I didn't think you had it in you. When I first met him, I'm like, oh, he's probably like super nice and da da da. And then he threw the first punch, when they were kind of like hashing things out. But I also appreciate how he's willing to forgive his brother, accept him back into his life after they're falling out, and that he knows his brother so well that, and that he really tries to help him and help Knox see that he does deserve better. So I really like his character. Very very dynamic character, and I think he was like an important character to the story. I can like name a few that I was like, you don't really need to be here. But like Nash, like I think he was an important character for like the development for both Naomi and Knox.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think Nash in this first book was almost like Knox's conscious a little bit. Like he sort of, because there was a moment where, he sided with Naomi over his brother and was like, no, you're being an idiot. And, that just, I think he kind of put Knox in check in a good way, like evaluate what your choices have been. I thought it was also really interesting because it comes out in this book that, just a testament to his character, that when Knox won the lottery, he gave a portion of it to Nash to like try to set him up for life, like to have his, be able to take care of himself. and Nash didn't want it. And so he took that entire money, all that money, and gave it to the police department, where he's now the chief of police. And like, he's, you know, it went to his career to help the town. And I think that just speaks to his character.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I put Nash as one of like my favorites in this book, just because like you guys said, he is just complete opposite of Knox. It's like one of those, like, you have the little angel and the little devil on your shoulders, and like, you know, Nash is like the angel and like Knox is like the devil, and will tell you like that's just like how I've always compared them, and I thought that was like super funny. I also kind of like, without it really being spoken about, it's almost, for a little bit, it was like let the best man win when it came to Naomi, and I thought that was so hilarious too. But you know, aside from her, though, just their relationship and their dynamic and growing up together, because they even, oh my gosh, what was their friend's name that like comes back into the picture?
Lucian.
Lucian, there you go. Thank you. I was like, I think I wrote it down somewhere, but I wrote too many notes. So like, I love that we do get a little bit of that backstory too, with the three of them, you know, growing up, and how with them fighting is like nothing new. They always were showing up and they were bloody beaten, and but laughing because they thought it was hilarious. And that's just kind of how they handle their squabbles. It's like, let's just throw down, and it was fine.
I think it's fun. And again, no spoilers for the rest of the series, but for just listeners too, book 1 was covering Knox and Naomi. Book 2 is Nash's story, and book 3 is Lucian. So it's really fun, because so they all stay in the like throughout the series. Knox and Naomi are in the other books too. So it's really fun to see how the three of them, like you were saying, Allie, right? Like, start in this things we never got over, and like we get introduced to them, see kind of where they are as a friend group, right? And then how it evolves.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I can't wait to read like the rest of the series and getting like their points of view on, you know, their lives and stuff. So that's really exciting. And I'm glad to know that like Knox and Naomi are like dragged in on this.
Yeah.
Which brings the books together. And I'm excited to talk about that with the next book in our next recording. So that'll be fun. So going back to the story here. So Naomi ends up getting the job, you know, Knox just kind of gets off his high horse just a teeny bit here, and he's like, you know what, fine, like, you work here, it's fine. And in the midst of all this happening, though, there is some background noise with Tina. You know, she broke in to the place that she was staying at, like the little trailer park she was staying at. She obviously was on a mission to find something, so we find that out. But yeah, like little tidbits here and there in regards to that. But so we also get introduced to a couple of other characters in the book as well, because something that Naomi and Waylay like to do is go to the library, because, you know, we end up finding out that Waylay likes to help like the elders in the community with like their computer problems, which I find so stinking cute. Yeah. And I just love the relationship that she ends up building with the librarian. And I don't know why her name is slipping my mind.
Sloane.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. I love Sloane.
She's my favorite, hands down.
Firecracker. I absolutely love her. And like I said, I just love that, like, that relationship that, I mean, she does end up building like a relationship with like a lot of the girls, like the girl that she works with, like at the bar. And then now we have Sloane like at the library and stuff too. And, you know, she eventually, Naomi eventually ends up getting to work at the library as kind of like a second job too. So I find that, like, you know, kind of nice as well. But so things are just kind of like moving along within the story at this point. I'm like, am I missing any like big pieces here? Like, as we kind of get into like the main part of the group before Naomi gets kidnapped.
Can we talk about Steph for a moment?
Oh my gosh, yes. you for reminding me. I was like, I know we're missing some big piece of a character here. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yes. Abby, go ahead and let's talk about Steph.
Okay, can I tell you that Steph is the best friend of all best friends? The
Yes.
way that he just drops everything and like comes to her side and like, kind of like in a low-key way, like threatens Knox to ruin Knox's life if he hurts her and things like that. Like such a good friend, so supportive, knows everything about her relationship and her dynamic with Tina, and so can really like speak to that dynamic and fill Knox in on things. But yeah, the way that he protects her but doesn't try to force her to like make a decision. He accepts her for who she is, and how he knows how she is, and he's not afraid to challenge her. Like, eventually when Naomi and Knox are on the rocks for a little bit, they like, Steph is like, hey, get your butt up. Like, you're gonna like girl boss it, like, take care of business. Like, you're not gonna stay in bed
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
too long. Such a great character, such a great friend, and I'm happy that Lucy Score introduces him and he becomes such an
Mhm.
important part of the story.
Yeah.
I agree. I think everybody needs a Steph in their life, honestly. He's fabulous. I also
Mhm.
love this, I don't know if like the theme, I'll say, of like found family, which is definitely one that just is an undercurrent through the whole series.
Mhm.
But Steph kind of jumps in on that theme when he starts having a thing with the barber in town. There's kind of a little like they go on a date, and then is he contemplates, does he join Knock 'em Out? Does he not? And I just like that dimension to kind of all the found family theme that is
Mhm.
throughout the book.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you guys. I can't believe I forgot about him. I was like, I know I'm like, there's a character that I know that I wanted to talk about, and it just left my brain. But yes, no, I feel like we all need that stuff in our life. Someone to tell us like, you're being dumb, get off your butt. You got more important things to do. I'm lucky enough. I mean, she's not a gay best friend, but I do have Jordan, and I would say Jordan is definitely like she is my stuff, because like we've known each other since we were 6 7 years old. And I feel like I would be lost in this world without her. And we've had like our moments where we didn't talk for a while, but we came back to each other full forward, and she's like the best person that I have in my life, and I don't know what I would do without her.
I'll say cheers to Jordan and
Yeah.
Yes,
hugs.
exactly. Yep. No, cheers to you, Jordan. I know you're listening to this. So thank you for being my stuff. I appreciate you. So, so along with Steph, something else too that I was just thinking about, since my brain is kind of like working now a little bit here. So just kind of backtracking a little bit, we do find out that Knox was like the secret lottery winner. And I think that was something that wasn't really like my favorite part of the book, though. But I just wanted to bring it up really quick because Knox's way of trying to solve problems from, his mom had passed, his dad had left and is now like an alcoholic. So he just pretty much pushed the money on people as a way to like solve their issues.
Mm.
And, the good thing that came out of it was like the businesses that he owns with like the salon and like the bar and things like that. So that was kind of like the good things that he was able to do with the money. However, though, him and Nash got into like this kind of a fallout because of the money situation. And like, I just thought how it was funny where Naomi at first was like, it was because of a woman, right? And he was like, no, I try to buy my brother a future. And instead he built the freaking police department with my name on it. And I was like, okay, cool. So he thought like his brother would have gone on a completely different path. And his brother, like Nash was like, no, at the end of the day, I was going to be a police officer. That's what I wanted to do. Like, no amount of money would have bought me off undoing that. And then like we get another kind of like ick part where, you know, him and Naomi are like doing this weird benefits with friends thing, kind of. I don't know, like their relationship was so weird. And he was like, I just have to like cut this off. Like, I'm not going to do this anymore. But here is some money, you know, let me just part you by like, let me break up with you in this weird sense. But here's like $10,000 for you to like have. I don't know. I just thought it was icky for me.
Yeah, he does definitely try to solve a lot of his problems through money, but I think that's because he wants to take the emotional component out of it, because he's not an emotional guy. So he tries to, you know, kind of distance, like, you know, kind of putting in the work of dealing, because throughout the book, he always tells Naomi, like, don't cry, like, don't you dare cry, because he doesn't know how to handle the emotions of others. So he's just like, hey, here's money and be better. You're good now.
Yeah.
I agree. That part I didn't like, and I also didn't like, we talk, you know, the big bow on top of like solving problem. Like I just that was not a little too cliched and not my most, frankly, in his like character arc. I did love though the story of how he calls Naomi Daisy, because the first time met, right, she had a daisy in her hair that had just like blown in. So I thought that was a cute kind of counter, you know, with their interactions. I think where Daisy was the nickname Daisy is super cute. The lottery winnings was kind of the ick part. I will say one of the spiciest scenes in the book was the family barbecue, and they're underneath the porch.
Yes.
And that, I think, was one of those. I'm just calling it out for listeners. If for those that have read the book, you know, if you're going to read the book, just the family barbecue was great to read. Don't read it at work. Don't read it out in public. Save it for another time.
That's for you, Allie.
I know. No, listen, listeners.
Just if we're doing the ick, the good, and the spicy.
Yes.
It was the ick, the good, and the spicy.
No, you're definitely right, because listen, listeners, I was reading this book while I was at work. And when the spicy scenes were coming up, and I knew at that point, I was like, I should just close this book. I could read this at home in the safety net of my room. But I was like, it can't be that bad, right? It's, you know, it's probably like PG rated, maybe a little, maybe PG-13 at most, right? We're just kind of like, we'll just tiptoe and we'll just see. I was hot. Like my face was flushed. I was like, whew, I was like, is it hot in here? Like, and even my manager was like, are you okay? And I closed my book so fast. I'm like, yep, I'm great.
I love it. I love it. It's a steamy rom-com for sure.
It is. Yeah.
It went steamy quick. It goes from like, oh, rom-com, oh, so cute, steam. And it's like, like I was in the common area, like I was in the living room. And my boyfriend, he games, so he was like in the corner gaming. I told you like in the store, I literally probably got up and like turned around and like left the living room, because I was like, I don't want to see my reaction to this. Because I was like, oh,
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm with you guys. It's like, full disclosure, I actually listened to this book on an audiobook. So I like listened to it while like I was at work, or I was like, you know, cleaning up after dinner or making dinner or whatnot. And there were definitely a few moments where like to listen to those scenes on an audiobook is very different than reading those scenes.
I bet.
I would highly recommend the audiobook. The narrator's great. But those scenes, it was just funny. I could always, you know, when those moments were coming up, it was like, okay, I'm just gonna pause for a minute, whatever I'm doing, and we're gonna listen, and then we'll go back.
Yeah. No, definitely. I feel like I could have, you know, probably just held off until I got home, but I was like, I just need to figure out where the spice ends up. So I just blew through it, and I was like, whew, all right. Like,
just wait till 2 and 3. I'm so excited. This will be good.
Well, now I know 2 and 3 are going to have to just be read at home, because I don't know. I will probably get so distracted at work where they'll just be
warned. You've been forewarned. And
yes.
listeners too have been forewarned.
Yes. So listeners, like Emily said, she's the expert here with these books. So if you want the spice, if you want I don't even know what we're getting ourselves into, then yeah, that this is your warning, and not read it at work or in a public place. Just do it in the safety of your, of your confines of a home.
Mm-hmm.
So let's also go back here really quick because I know you brought up, Emily, that Knox calls Naomi Daisy. So when she blows into town, she has daisies in her hair. She got a wedding dress in the back of her car, and they're like, where the heck did this girl come from? So it turns out that she had bailed out on her wedding, and I don't remember the guy's name. I don't like him. I think I called him like Wienerhead douche canoe, like the third or something in our text messages. But I was like, I cannot with this guy. I'm glad that she had left that relationship, and goodbye, sir. I was like, no.
100%. And even Abby, to your point about Steph, right? Even when Steph comes into town and, Knox is kind of asking about it and Nash is asking, it comes up.
Yeah.
Steph even, I think, uses those exact same terms. And is
Yeah.
just, nope, he's a no. He's a 0 out of 10.
Yeah, like he pretty much did like a slow clap. He was like, I wish I would have been in on this, or else I would have helped you like hightail it.
100%.
But that was like, he was like, I give you like a slow clap for that one.
Yeah.
Because she's like goody two shoes, and she like wants to be perfect, and she wants, her life to be perfect. And for the fact that she just like skidded out on this wedding, they're like, who are you? So I just love that.
If I remember too, the reason she left, which was kind of a big piece of her connecting with Knox, right, is I'm forgetting the guy's name. You can clearly tell it's an important name since we can't remember the former fiance's name of Naomi. That it's almost like he loved the idea of her, but not actually her. And there were a series of events that, then led to her realizing that herself.
Yeah.
Which is why she hightailed it out of there, and good for her, honestly.
Yeah.
Because it played into, I think we don't have tons of time, but like going through all the different interactions with her and Knox, just night and day different about, Knox is taking care of her, even though it's a little over the top, overbearing, and money centric sometimes. He's very much taking care of her and Naomi as a person, not like the idea of Naomi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I know. 100%. I agree.
Can we talk a little bit about the ending really, really quickly?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I know. So part of like one of the really big things that ends up happening in this book. So before we like kind of hightail it into the end of this book and close up this this book one, Nash gets shot. He's left for dead pretty much. Thankfully, I do have to say that the buildup before we found out he was okay was giving me anxiety. I was like, if this man dies, so help me. But then I was like, oh, wait, book 2 is about him. So never mind. I know he lives. So that kind of made me feel a little bit better because I completely forgot for a second. But I love and I appreciate the emotion of that, of that book brings you. Like, this man is about to die. But then you're like, oh, wait, never mind. He's good. So we have to. So that was one of the big things that happens. But in the midst of this whole Tina, so Naomi is finishing up her late shift at the bar, and lo and behold, Tina shows up, and she's like, just ends up tricking her into getting into the car with her and kidnaps her. She pretty much kidnaps her sister because Tina is involved with the mob's son. And it was just like, and they ended up like getting waylaid too. And I was like, so help me, if Tina's involved in waylay getting hurt, I'm gonna throw this book and I'm not going to pick it back up.
I was going to crawl through the spine of the book. You're like,
Yes.
Wiley.
Yeah, I'm going to come and save you.
Exactly.
And Abby knows my history with throwing books. So
she would have thrown it.
It would have gotten chucked. Yeah. But yeah, and just this whole thing with, finding out that what they're after is a flashcard or like a flash drive that has like a list of names of like the cops, their informers. Like it was like a big deal thing. And that's where Tina kind of came into play because she was looking for it so she could hand it off to her stinky, slimy boyfriend. And it turns out that Waylay is the one that actually took it, which I'm like, girl,
Three cheers for Waylay.
I know, right? I'm like, huzzah
Exactly.
for Waylay. I just absolutely love her because I feel like she knew. She was like, Mom is getting into something she's not supposed to be doing. And she had 2 copies. She had like one in her shoe. She like hid one in the library, and then she also downloaded the files in the library's computer. And I was like, this girl is
Yes. It's like so smart.
Women in STEM. Yeah.
I know, right? No, seriously though. I just absolutely loved that. And so in the midst of all this, though, Tina gets a very teeny tiny redemption. Just it's very, very small because she just ends up like ditching out after everything's clear. But she ends up getting like a teeny like redemption arc here because she's like, listen, this man is dumb. Let's go to the bathroom. Let's do the good old twin switcheroo. That way you can bolt out of here and you call 911 and I'll stay here with Waylay. But the man isn't dumb. He's not. He like figured it out so quick because he's like, I know what my girlfriend looks like. And he's like, you guys can't pull that like whole twin thing on me. So their plan is essentially failed. But what do you guys think about Tina's like tiny redemption here and trying to like finally, I don't know, see the light for a moment, if you will?
She can see the light. She just noticed that, oh, I didn't realize that, you threatened my kid. And she probably just got thrown off because I'm guessing she has a pattern of getting in way over her head without knowing all the details, and trusting too much in whoever's in the next, get rich quick scheme or whatever. She realized she'd be putting her kid in danger. I think you're right, Allie. Little tiny bit of redemption, but it was short lived because she abandoned Waylay again anyway. So
yeah.
That's my thought.
Yeah.
It was a light, it like breaking through Tina's just straight up awfulness throughout the whole book. I took it maybe though a bit differently, and this is where I go that I'd love to see the prequel or whatever, right, with Tina's story a bit, because throughout the book, and it didn't really click for me until this ending scene, Tina only left Waylay with Naomi. And there's a trust there that came out in that ending scene, even though Tina's been awful to Naomi and Naomi's always there to clean up the mess. There is something to be said. She trusted her sister with her child. She was not the world's greatest mother before that. But there was something to the fact that she knew that Waylay would be taken care of. And, she took off because there really wasn't anything. She was going to have to, she was going with her boyfriend. He's with the mob. The cops were chasing them. She's like, that's no place for an 11-year-old to be. So I thought it was a redemption arc, maybe small, not minuscule, but small. And I just think there's more to her story than we were privy to in this book.
Yeah. No, I agree. And then, like we said, just as soon as we were like, oh, maybe she's, gonna maybe change, or maybe we're gonna see something, or she's gonna turn herself in. Nope.
Nope.
Like once everything's all said and done, the bad guy is down, Knox Nash,
She's out.
Lucy comes in, she dips out.
Mm-hmm.
She grabs all the money she can and she's like, take care of Waylay for me, okay, bye. And I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
that's fine,
At that point, it's almost a good riddance. But
Yeah,
like,
no, seriously though, it really was like good riddance. Like, and I just find it funny though, because after all of that happened and they're kind of like settling down, she got caught. So she's in like, so she's in jail, which I'm like, okay, good, because it would have drove me crazy if she was going to still be out there and just be scot-free of everything that she's done. So for the fact that she got caught, I was like, okay, cool. Like that's makes me happy. And then so everything's good and everything's grand. And then we kind of get a little bit into a little bit of like an epilogue too, at the end of the book, which I really love, because I was like, there's no way they can just end this story with like this whole thing happening. And we're like at Waylay's 12th birthday and they're having this big old party. Of course, there's some spice in there because
why not?
because why not? And I just love how it ends up tying into Knox and Naomi finding each other again, because they end up engaged at the end of the epilogue and stuff too, because it's like a big surprise for her. So I just really like that. But what did you guys think about that ending also?
So good. I think it was a really nice ending, because of like everyone coming together, and like you were saying before, Emily, that theme of found family, and it really came together with like the with Waylay's 12th birthday, and then the surprise like official proposal that Knox does and everything. And it's really that like showing how much a support system they all had throughout this really like dramatic and crazy time for them, and so their family just basically showed up for them in really great ways. And then we also got a bonus epilogue that was like in the future. That was pretty cool. About like just, I think it was 5 years, like a 5-year jump or something. Yeah, 5 years. I thought that was really great to see like the family that they had built and how strong those relationships continue to be, and got a little peek into some other relationships too.
Yeah, I echo both what you guys both said, right? It was a nice way to show the community coming together, to support everybody, but Naomi and Knox specifically, just solidifying that found family, that was kind of an undercurrent throughout the whole, the whole book. I think some of the dialogue too was really cute because it just punctuated the grumpy sunshine, right, that we've been seeing throughout the book. So it was cute in that respect. And I liked it. As I said at the beginning of the episode, right? It's a feel-good book. It's a refreshing feel-good book. You kind of know how it's going to end when you start when you get into it. And it's just a fun, feel-good a summer book.
Yeah. I agree. All right, listeners. Well, that was Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. This book was just so great to cover for us. I can't wait until we jump into the second and the third book. There's going to be probably so much more to cover. But before we just jump off this here, let's just do a little bit of our end matters, and let's go ahead and dreamcast this book. So Abby, let's kick it off with you. Who did you pick for your list of the characters we have here?
Okay, I didn't do everybody. I just did the ones that I really thought like, oh, this would be nice. So Naomi, I did Emilia Clarke. She's Khaleesi, Game of Thrones, or she's also in Me Before You. I think that she would be a really good fit for her, because she has a really strong character, but then she also has a really or she can play really strong characters, but she can also play really gentle characters too. And so she's very versatile in that way. For Tina, I did Margot Robbie. For Tina, like I could see her doing that, and crushing it as Tina.
Mhm.
Let's see who else. Steph, I did Jonathan Bailey. He's Anthony from Bridgerton.
Yes.
Yes.
I could definitely see that. Sloane, Olivia Cook, Allison from House of Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she'd be good in that role. And then Liza J. I did Alfre Woodward. She's in the movie 12 Years a Slave and The Family That Prays. She's a really great actress, and I think she would play Liza J really well. I couldn't figure out anyone for Waylon. I don't really know any like young actresses, so I just put IDK. I was like, I don't know, someone.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then Knox, I did Idris Elba and also this man needs no introduction, so everyone knows what he's in. I thought that'd be good as Knox. Nash, I did Morris Chestnut. He was in Best Man and like Boys in the Hood. And then
Mhm.
lastly, I did Lucian, who I said like Tom Hardy. Like I can see him in the role as Lucian.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's my pick.
I like that. That's a great
I
list.
Yeah, I do too. That was really good, Abby. Thank you. What about you, Emily? Who did you pick?
Okay, so I said I had a lot of fun with this. I was telling Abby before we started recording. This was really fun, and I went down a rabbit hole deep into the movie archives. But this is who I thought would be fun. So for Naomi, I thought Lily James would be really fun. She does that
Mhm.
like sweet sunshine kind of character really well.
Yes.
For Knox, I said Charlie Hunnam, who's in Sons of Anarchy and Pacific Rim, like a little more rugged.
Yes.
Yes,
Love him.
yes, I thought Lily James
Makes my heart little flutter.
would be a good like Knox Naomi pair. For Tina, I thought Lucy Hale from Pretty Little Liars would be a good Tina. She could do and Lucy and Lily kind of could pass as twins with some makeup, maybe support.
Mhm.
Um, for Nash, I thought Liam Hemsworth. There had to be a Hemsworth brother in here.
Yes.
Mhm.
Love.
Yep. Steph, I said Stanley Tucci. I just
I
love
love
I
I
just
love him too.
love him, and I absolutely love him, and he would be a fabulous Steph, honestly. For Liza J, I said Kathy Bates. Like she also,
Oh.
witty, and they're
Yes.
really fun dialogue scenes with Kathy Bates as Liza J. I think she'd be great. For Waylay, I struggled, Abby, like you said. I was sort of like, I don't know. So I definitely Googled for some of this for Waylay.
Mhm.
But there's an actress that was in Black Widow that's as a young kid, Ryan Kira Armstrong. I hadn't really heard of her, but she seemed to fit the bill with the rest of the cast. And then for Sloane, I did Brienne Howie from Ginny and Georgia, and she also has
Oh. Yeah.
yep.
Love that.
And then for Lucian, I'm gonna butcher his name, but Regé Jean Page, the Duke from Bridgerton.
Yes.
I would love to see him as Lucian.
That would be amazing.
Love. Yes.
Yes, please.
I love that. I know, right? All right. So my dream cast. So for Naomi, I picked Haley Steinfeld. I thought she would have been a really good choice for Naomi. I don't know what it was, but like I just could totally picture her in my head as her. For Tina, I did Madeline Carroll. I had to do like a good Google search on like actresses who kind of looked alike, and Madeline Carroll came up for me, and she was like in The Spy Next Door, and she was also in like that new Resident Evil movie. But yeah, like just give her some dark hair and I feel like her and Haley would totally be twins. For Knox, I did Joel Edgerton. I thought like that because he's like a very rugged man also, and I just saw that and I was like,
Yep.
that is just too perfect. Like I just can't think of anyone else for Knox. And then for Nash, I did Taron Egerton.
There you go.
Yep. Yep. Because I was
Yeah.
like, just again, the total opposites, but how they also look alike too. I
Similar.
was like, the compare and contrast. I was like, oh, this is too good. For Steph, I did Jonathan Groff. from he played he voiced oh my gosh, what's his name in Frozen?
Uh, is it was it Kristoff?
Kristoff.
Kristoff?
Kristoff in
Kristoff.
Frozen, yes.
Good choice.
Yes, and he was like in many other things. He's in Broadway. I just absolutely
Love it.
love him.
Love it.
Love him. For Waylay, same. I had to also do some like deep dive into who I would think of as Waylay. And this actress came up. Her name is Julia Butters. She hasn't really been in a lot of movies, but she was one of the little girls in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I'll actually just show you a picture because I don't know why, but when I saw her, I was like, yeah, she totally looks like a Waylay to me.
I just Googled her too. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So I was like, I don't know. Like, I remember seeing her in that movie and I was like, yes, okay, I remember now. So I chose her as my Waylay. And then for Liza J, I did Michelle Pfeiffer.
I love her too.
I don't know like what it is about
Yes.
her, but I was like, give me some Michelle Pfeiffer in any movie, and
Yes.
I'm sold. I just love her so
Yes.
much. Like, yeah. So that's who I chose.
Love it. These are great. I hope someone from Hollywood is listening.
Yeah, I know, right? Because yeah. All right, listeners. Well, that just about wraps up for things we never got over. Book 2, we will be covering next month, Things We Hide from the Light. I'm really excited to dive into that book. Look at her. Yeah. So squirrel here really quick. I ordered the special editions on Amazon.
Nice.
So I know I think I'm getting them next month, but I will be sharing all the pictures because they are absolutely stunning. I can't wait. But yeah, listeners, please rate, review, subscribe. We appreciate comments, concerns, recommendations, anything like that. We will soak all that in. Follow us on Instagram. We are Tales Over Tales Pod. And we also have an email, talesovertalespod@gmail.com. You can find us on Spotify and anywhere else that you listen. You can follow me personally. My bookstagram is at ally.reads.turner. Abby, where can they find you?
You can find me at the Charles in Charge.
I love it.
Love it.
Emily, where can they find you?
Yeah, and I'm at books.bottles.
Perfect. I love that so much. All right, you guys. Well, it has been a blast. And again, I can't wait for next month.
Same. Thank you guys for having me on this episode, and stay reading.
And stay classy. And as always, stay drinking. All right. Bye, guys.